Many will remember Mohamed Yussuf Hajji as the man who chaired the Building Bridges initiative, appointed by President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM Raila Odinga. He would also be remembered as the two-term senator for Garissa County, yet he was much more than that, both in his public roles and in quiet behind-the-scenes tasks in northern Kenya, all the way to the neighboring countries in the north. His suitability for the role saw him suitable for the four Kenyan regimes, for President Jomo Kenyatta, Daniel Arap Moi, Moi Kibaki and Uhuru Kenyatta. And he was always on the right side of power. This presence was ironically in part a factor of the Somali exclusion from the center. But it was also a factor for his own ability to gel well with the center and to remain relevant. When the critical time came for the President Uhuru to name a trusted and competent representative to co-chair the BBI, the lots fell on Hajji. Even when he was been ailing, the President has allowed Hajji to symbolically remain in the role, while the actual chairing and the reporting progress has fallen upon on Raila's representative, Professor Adams Olo. It has been a question of loyalty and trust going hand in hand with competence. From the earliest of time, Hajji was always be able to read the mood and intent of his principals and to deliver the desired results with exemplary aptitude. His hand in the affairs of state has historically and symbolically made him, over a long time, to be the face of an otherwise largely excluded Somali nation. In the process, he has also been part of the effort to address the contours. At the heart of the challenge has been the matter of Somali nationalism and yearning for the unfilled Somali nation state that will bring Somali people of Eastern Africa under one savage flag. The coming of independence from European powers in the 1960s saw the Somali admitted into Africa's club of new nations. They arrived on the raft of diverse countries in Eastern Africa. This distributed their own sense of nationhood and probably continues to do so. They are all the one community that got into independence as one race of persons with a common language, religion, and understanding of their sovereignty separate from the rest of the peoples of Eastern Africa. Yet their desire for the consolidated Somali nation in Eastern Africa was not to be, for they arrived in free Africa scattered across such diverse territories as Somalia, Ethiopia, Djibouti, and Kenya. Across the entire region, they found it difficult to absorb this reality. Yet, the newly independent state outside Somalia could not let them go. In Kenya, for instance, the Somali made for just 1% of the population of 8.5 million at independence. But they also occupied a whole 1/5 of the country. The question for the Kenyatta government was how to allow 1% of the population to go away with 1/5 of the territory. Successive regimes therefore have found it necessary to work with key Somali leaders in order to reign in that territory. Such leaders have been afforded comfort in the government, with also being the custodians of keeping their people's faith in the Kenyan nationhood. Hajji has been one of such a leader. The story goes that for a long time, the Somali considered Kenya to be the territory that begins south of the Tana River. They did not see themselves as a part of it. It indeed to surprise visitors to Garissa to be asked how things fared in Kenya. At the height of the search for the Somali nationhood among the Kenya Somalia, therefore was the rise of the shifter menace. This was a war that saw the Somali virtuality as a nation attempt to break away from the rest of the Kenya. It was an hereditary move that sought to make them a part of the Somalia. President Mohamed Said Barre of Somalia was not overseas to his thoughts. It required sober-minded leaders who appreciated the permanent separation of Africa families by the European partition of the continent to chair their tribesmen, understanding that they were now members of the new nation and the states increasingly through the times. Hajji became one of those leaders. Hajji goes away as a respected elder statesman from the Ogaden community of the greater Somali nation of the Horn of Africa. He is seen through the same prism as other leaders as David Wabere, for whom Nairobi's Wabere Street has been named. Wabere and Gebra from Marsabit were killed in Isiolo, soon after the independence. His sins being that he was the face of the Kenyan government that will not let the Somali go. Hajji, as the Somali face in government, represented the voice of reason. He is to be counted among the Somali leaders who have helped bridge the troubling gap between Kenya's Somalia people in the northeastern region and the rest of the Kenya. It has not been an easy assignment, and despite the gains of recent times, it remains work in progress. Hajji was appointed a district officer before independence in 1960. That was the same year that British Somaliland and Italian Somaliland were consolidated under one flag as the Republic of Somalia. Then came the push from the secessionists that have northeastern Kenya, French Somaliland, now Djibouti, to be part of the new republic. They formed a political party which is the Northern People's Party, with express objectives of ceding. Their sterling performance in the election of the 1961 gave them the confidence to carry on with their pursuit. Took the firm positions, Somalia leaders in Nairobi, so to speak, were however unimpressed. They agreed with Kanu and Kadu leaders who took the firm position that there would be no negotiation over Kenya territory. The inevitable happened. Kenya went to a war of attribution in the northeastern. But alongside the armed shifter compact were quiet efforts to bring the Somali together with the rest of the Kenya. Hajji, as a senior leader in provisional administration, was a key hand working through Council of Elders to seek peace and unity. Even when the shifter was subdued in 1968, there was the need to continue with peace discourses. Through quiet diplomacy, he was a part of an ending effort to rally Kenya's Somalia security in the National Fund. But beyond that, he remained one of the kingpins in the exclusive search for peace among the Somali clans of Kenya. He was also key in the management of Kenya's engagement against the Al-Shabaab terrorism group, as well as in the search for the lasting peace in the Republic of Somalia. Educated in Kenya and in the United Kingdom, Hajji served in the Kenya Provisional Administration at the height of the state. Through this arm of government, historians are agreed that President Jomo Kenyatta consolidated power under the office of the president in the period of 1965 to 1966. Thereafter, Parliament and the ruling party KANU became forums for affirmation of the executive will. The Professional Commission became a very powerful state officer. Hajji became a PC in 1970 under Mzee Kenyatta. He will go on to carry through this role to 1997 under President Moi, thus becoming the longest serving PC who served for 27 years. When he left the Provisional Administration, President Moi nominated him to Parliament in 1997, signifying the important role that he continued to play as a bridge between the center and the Kenya Somali community. He also served as Assistant Minister in the office of the President in the year 1997 to 2002 Parliament. His primary and silent mandate revolved around the security issues in north of the country. Apart from keeping an eye on a local conflict in the region, he also monitored the situation in the Republic of Somalia, where order continued to deteriorate steadily after the fall of the Said Barre in 1991. In 2002 and 2007, he was elected on KANU ticket to represent Ejara constituency. The depth and the breadth of his influence was reflected in the fact that although the country had hugely swung towards the opposition, the region remained strongly in KANU. It is indeed the irony of history. Since the reintroduction of multi-party democracy in 1991, Northeastern does not vote as a bloc at any time. It votes both for the government and the opposition. This is despite the fact that this was one region which at independence wanted to break away. It is courtesy of the influence of respected local leaders like Hajji. In 2013, Hajji was elected to represent Garissa in the Senate. He successfully defended the seat in 2017, an elder statesman aged 80 at his death. He remained a clear-minded, soft-spoken and level-headed politician, good enough for the president to trust with the chairing of the contagious BBI process.
Mzee wetu alikuwa kielekeo njema. Kwangu mimi binafsi, maisha yangu yote ya kisiasa, tumesimama pamoja, tumetembea pamoja, na naweza kusema kwa uhaki, Mzee Hajji, mashauri yake haikuwa ya kitu chochote, ni mashauri ya kutoka kwa roho, ya kutoka fikira zake, na ndipo nilikuwa na muamini vile nilimwamini. Miaka hiyo yote hakuna chochote mwenyewe ameuliza chake, isipokuwa za wananchi ambao anawakilisha na fikira zake za vile mwelekeo wa taifa letu watakikana kuendelea, bila kujiuliza, bila kujiulizia chochote chake.
He lives behind a family with many interconnection in the Kenya-Somali community, largely through marriage. Two of his more outstanding prestigious are Nurdin Hajji, director of the public prosecution, and a businessman Abdul Hajji. Mohamed Yussuf Hajji was born in 1940, a member of the giant Ogaden clan of Kenya, Ethiopia, and Somalia. Garissa has not only lost a senator, but also a father and a peace facilitator. Hajji will be remembered for his contribution towards peace and the cohesion between communities. Indeed, Kenya has lost an icon. Abdihafid Mohamed, Kulmiye TV, Garissa.